Hey guys, in the middle of recording, the devs put out a bug fix, and that should apparently fix some of the issues that Noli had. So make sure to take some of the sections like the Void Rush and the other ones with a grain of salt regarding bugs. It's been almost a month since Noli released, and gaining level 100 on this goddamn killer has been the most soul-draining experience I've ever experienced on this game. Why the fuck is he so horrible? And don't be a smartass and say he's a 5-star difficulty killer, because that's not the issue here. First, let's get to the positives of this kit. Noli's base walking and sprinting speeds are 7.5 and 27.5 respectively, only being slightly slower than Cool Kid's sprinting and walking speeds. This, in turn, makes him the third fastest base speed killer in game. His mobility is like no other. He decimates everyone in sheer approach with Void Rush alone, making him on par with Cool Kid's walk speed override, but having more control with the dash. Nova's hitbox is insanely big when hitting a wall, allowing for multiple people to be hit alongside going through walls, and gaining for easy chip damage, with it also being a combo tool for Noli's M1 if exploded in midair and dragging them close enough. Observant is great in combination with Void Rush, as it'll catch survivors off guard and allow Void Rush to instantly slam them down and dealing almost half their HP. But that pretty much ends off the positives. Let's discuss each ability one by one. Noli's M1s. They're about as standard as one can get, but fucking 0.4 second swing rate for 25 damage? This shit is so terrible. Even John Doe, who has the same swing rate, has higher damage, and Cool Kid, who has a similar kit with Noli, has a faster swing rate with more damage. How did they allow this? I'm not sure, but with how the hitboxes are in this game, it makes it pretty difficult to hit survivors consistently. You can argue it's supposed to make him more reliant on his abilities, but A, it's not Dead by Daylight where the M1 connects automatically, and every killer needs to use their M1s, and B, the abilities aren't that much better. Void Rush, while amazing as a mobility tool and approach tool, it is actually so buggy and unreliable as an attack sometimes. I cannot count the amount of times I had to experience Noli crashing into survivors or flinging them away. It is so miserable trying to use this move, there's almost no point to using it as a normal attack. And even if you take the bugs out of Void Rush, it's still a very easy attack for survivors to avoid, due to how slow the turn rate is for him. So sometimes it's difficult to even land the slam, at least in my experience. Not to mention how Guess completely counters the attack, so Noli is forced to either respect the block and stop the Void Rush, or risk B-pairing punch. The only decent part of the attack is using it as a surprise attack when using Observant to induce maximum hallucination on them, since it'll instantly slam them down. Nova is probably one of his few good tools, as it effectively acts as an anti-loop tool, potentially shutting down chases depending on the environment. It also combos in with a M1 if the Nova drags in the survivor enough. Though this gets outclassed by other similar projectiles, Entanglement and Corrupt Nature to be specific. While not having the large hitboxes Nova has, they have substantial debuffs that effectively put the survivor to a slow crawl. Slowness 1 with Corrupt Nature, and Helplessness with pop-ups on Entanglement. Also to mention, Nova completely explodes upon contact with the surface, whether it's a survivor or a wall, while the other projectiles don't suffer this issue. Whether it's worse or better is up to that interpretation, but I'd argue the former. Corrupt Nature and Entanglement don't have to worry about the environment blocking their shots, while Nova does. If the survivor is away from the obstacle or is out of the hitbox's range, Nova's completely out of luck, and even when it lands, it doesn't completely slow them down enough for the loop to end. Which is pretty bad. The last thing about him, hallucinations. Ooh. They don't do much. Noli's whole passive gimmick is that he makes the survivor schizophrenic. Yet, he can't meaningfully interact with these hallucinations. He can't see the mirages or fake buildings. It also doesn't provide enough consistent aura reveals with fake gens since they're relatively easy to spot on the survivor side. So the only reliable way of applying max hallucination was Observant. While you can take advantage of people affected by the mirages, if you're surprising them, you would have probably surprised them whether or not the mirages were there. So what's the conclusion here? Why is Noli so bad? Well, it comes down to a few main issues. Bad M1s, Void Rush attack, lack of anti-loop tools, and inability to utilize his hallucinations to their max potential. But how can we make them better? First off, with the swing rate, to make it more functional as a basic attack, I suggest decreasing the rate between windup to 0.2 to 0.3 seconds. While not the craziest thing in the world, this would put it in between Jason's and John Doe's swing rates. This makes it more reliable at hitting survivors, but doesn't completely override the purpose of being somewhat bad, so rely on comboing with your other skills. Void Rush. Fix up the collision issues that cause Void Rush to completely crash into the survivors. Because I don't think that's intended. And to make Void Rush more ambush based, allow him to instantly slam a survivor in Void Rush from afar, even if they're blocking as a guest. This way, it will reward the killer for sniping an unsuspecting survivor, while not making it only viable for approaching people. Nova itself is fine, trading potential debuffs for a large hitbox and dragging survivors in, but it could probably get a damage increase to 20 in compensation for no debuffs. This way, the damage is more significant and allows for an easier kill if used right. And lastly, make his hallucinations visible to himself. This would make his trickster playstyle shine more, allowing him to use the mirages and buildings to his advantage, making them more reliable as a source of information for Noli to use to his advantage. But that's about it for now. Noli's definitely not a bad killer, but I don't think there's any truly bad characters in Forsaken. Oh, except for a 007. Noli just needs more effort compared to other killers, in my opinion, in order to achieve the same wins. Agree or disagree? Comment your points below and I'll check them out. And with that, I'll see you guys later.